Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Through the Cycles with Deanna. I am your host, Deanna. Let me just paint the picture for you today. My workday is done. I have showered. I'm in my pajamas. I have a beautiful cup of some tea sitting right next to me, and I'm ready to sit down and podcast to close off my day. Without further ado, today we are going to be talking about Pilates. Pilates is buzzing right now. There's a lot going on in the Pilates space. It's very trendy. It's taking the world by storm. We are living in the 90s all over again, and Pilates is all the rave. So let's talk about it. What is Pilates? What's the big fucking whoop about Pilates? Why are people so obsessed with it? So I'm going to offer you my perspective as a Pilates instructor and also as a client. I did Pilates before I became an instructor. So let me just walk you through a little bit of what my journey looked like getting to my certification. I had always been very active my whole life. I started dance when I was about 3 years old, and that led me into cheering. I started when I was 9. I went right into competitive cheerleading and fell in love with the sport. It was something that was just a really beautiful outlet for me to be able to express myself so freely, but it was also something that was so physically taxing on the body that was beneficial, but also detrimental at times to my health. So I was always very active. I was going to practice every single day. I had competitions every single weekend. And if you've done competitive cheerleading before, or if you're familiar with it, it's very intense and it pretty much never stops. It's all gas, no breaks. And as an all-star cheerleader, I was pushing my body to the absolute limit at a very young age. Now, at this time, I really had no knowledge of my physical body really mattering to me. I mean, I was a teenager and I never really put much thought into what I looked like or what I even felt like. It was just something that I dealt with. So I wound up hurting my back cheering. I had a pretty bad back injury. I went back and forth with the doctors trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And the conclusion was I had 3 herniated discs in my spine, and they found out that I had holes in my spine all the way from T2 to T12. So if you're familiar with the spine, pretty much my whole spine. So I found that out my last year of cheering, my senior year, and I didn't want to stop. I absolutely wanted to keep going because this was something I had invested so much time into at this point, and I loved cheering. It was my life. It was my everything. So I was going to cheer at all costs, but I made the choice to no longer tumble. So my senior year wraps up. I finished cheering, and with this back injury, I really wasn't able to cheer in college, which is something that I was considering doing when I was in high school. So by the time college rolls around, I am doing nothing. Cheering ended, and I honestly, from a physical standpoint, was blissed the fuck out. It was really liberating to do nothing. And to not have to push my body to this extreme point. So I really enjoyed when cheering stopped. I rested a lot. I did no physical exercise. And by the time freshman year of college rolled around, I realized, oh, you have to work out in order to be in shape. I will absolutely never forget. I was laying outside in my backyard tanning. It was the week before my freshman year of college started, and I was laying out there by the pool with my sister, and for whatever the reason, I had like an itch on the back of my arm, and I went to go itch it, and I felt like flab, like fat arms, and I was like, what the fuck? And I had never been somebody who was insecure about my body or even really cared about what my body looked like. I was never hyper aware when it came to my physical appearance. And that was the first time that I was like aware of what my body looked like, and I didn't like it. And I was like, oh shit, this is why people work out. So I start college and I'm like, okay, well, what do, people do who aren't athletes? They go to the gym. So that's exactly what I started to do. I started to go to the gym and dove into the gym girly aesthetic. I was at the gym 6 times a week. I was lifting heavy weights, working my way up to lifting heavier weights, and it became like a big game for me. And I really did enjoy the gym. It was an outlet for me. It was something that was even social when it came to college, especially for me. I didn't go to the gym that was on my college campus because I didn't want to see anybody, but I did go to the gym like in town where my college was. And obviously there were like a lot of other college kids. So it was a very young gym, and it was, pretty much a social hour for everybody. And I enjoyed it. What I did not enjoy was the way that my body was changing wasn't the way I wanted it to change. So I grew my ass, no problem, but I also grew my belly along with it because I was shoveling protein down my throat to meet my protein count, because that's what I saw you're supposed to do online when you're lifting heavy weights. So I kind of was really bloated all the time. I was definitely strong, but I wouldn't consider myself functionally strong. And what I mean by that is that, yeah, I could go into the gym and hip thrust, whatever, 250 pounds. But when it came to everyday life, could I stand for longer than 10 minutes without my back hurting? Was I able to hike up a mountain without being winded? Was I able to hike up a mountain without my back being in pain? Was I able to do an ab workout without my neck hurting? So there were all of these things that I felt while I was lifting weights, and I wasn't quite sure why. And it was something that I really just brushed off of my shoulder because I enjoyed going to the gym so much, and because I just, thought that this is what people do. So we fast forward a little bit more to my first year out of college. I come home from school. I come back to live with my parents. And again, I was following the same routine. I was going to the gym 6 times a week and blah, blah, blah. And my mom actually was going to Pilates. And she had been going to Pilates the entire time that I was in college. It was something she kind of started as a new empty nester when I left for school. But she fell in love with it. And it really transformed the way she felt. So as I'm home from school and she leaves to go to Pilates, it just sort of naturally came up in conversation one day. She was like, "Why don't you come to Pilates?" And I was like, Pilates sounds boring. I don't want to do that. She was like, "Just come. Do the free demo and I'll pay for your free intro period." And at the studio that I belonged to, there was a 3-month intro period before you had to actually sign up for the membership. So I was like, okay, 3 months, I could do 3 months. If I hate it after 3 months, no big deal. So I joined the 3-month program and pretty much fell in love with Pilates. I expressed interest to the owner about getting certified, and she was like, "Oh, I go to a classical Pilates school. I could take you there one day if you want to come and check it out." And I walk into this classical Pilates studio and was like, okay, this is Pilates. And joined the program that day, and the rest is really history. So now that we know the story of how I got here, I really want to dive into Pilates as a whole. So what I learned very quickly as I walked into that classical Pilates studio is that there are different types of Pilates. And everybody kind of has their own take on this. This is my take on it. Classical Pilates is based on contrology. Contrology was created by Joseph Pilates back in the day. And Joseph Pilates essentially created this system of exercises to get the body strong, improve flexibility, improve mobility, improve stability, learn how to find your breath, learn how to find balance and flow and connection between mind and body. He had his own philosophy on what contrology is and how it should be taught. And because it sort of blew up, everybody would say, you have to go to Pilates. You have to go see Joe Pilates. You have to go to Joseph Pilates. And then contrology became Pilates. So Pilates comes from Joseph Pilates' last name, Pilates. And that's what classical Pilates is rooted in. It's really contrology, teaching the system from Joseph Pilates. Now, there have been many takes on Pilates from classical Pilates. So, in my opinion, classical Pilates is really the heart of Pilates. I would go as far to say real Pilates, and everything else, and contemporary Pilates, Legree, solid core workouts, all of those are, I would consider, inspired by Pilates. They're not really the true essence of Pilates. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not amazing and beneficial in their own way. It's just a little bit challenging to see online so many people calling stuff Pilates when they really don't even know the history of Pilates and how the system was intended to be taught. So I am obviously a classical Pilates instructor. I am still in my apprentice program working towards my intermediate certification. So the increments go for me in my program 200 hours, 400 hours, and 600 hours, beginner, intermediate, advanced. But you go like way over the hours. So I literally could not tell you how many hours I've put into Pilates so far. But I'm working to test out for my intermediate come the end of this winter. And Pilates has changed my life. Pilates has put me back inside of my body. There was a moment when I was doing Pilates still as a client. I had an instructor say, ask your body for something deeper. And those words have stuck with me since that moment. It was the first time that I connected the dialogue between my head and my body, right? Because in your head, you can say, lift your right arm up, and that right arm goes up. And you don't even think twice about it, right? Right arm up, you lift the right arm up. Your brain is telling your body what to do. But sometimes your brain tells your body what to do and your body doesn't do it because of imbalances, because of weaknesses, because of all sorts of different reasons. So Pilates asks you to further the mind-body connection, to get your mind to ask your body to do something different, to focus on changing a habit. All of those connections between the mind and the body forces you to be present inside of your body when you're doing Pilates. That's why Pilates is meditative. I have found that when it comes to spiritual practices, Pilates is a spiritual practice for me. I am somebody who is very spiritual. I practice mindfulness, I practice meditation and yoga, and all of those things I love and I will never stop doing. But I never knew that Pilates would be added to my list of spiritual practices. Now, if you have done Pilates, you know what I'm talking about. You know that you can't be thinking about anything else because you have to be thinking about what you're doing. You have to be thinking about where your hand goes and the shoulder locked into your back and the abs engaged and the legs lengthening and the chest lifting. You can't be thinking about how shitty work was and how you got into a fight with your boss because you have to be inside of your body to be feeling the motions. And of course, are there times where you're not present and you're thinking about other things? And those are the times that you'll notice Your practice really wasn't that good today, right? You didn't really feel it as deeply. You didn't leave there with that Pilates bliss feeling of, wow, my mind feels clearer, my body feels better, I'm strong. And that's the feeling that you walk out of the door every day with when you do Pilates. I feel like it would be very unfair for me to talk about Pilates without talking about the expense of Pilates. Pilates is not something that is available to everybody, especially if you want to go to a studio. It's expensive, and that's just the truth of the matter. I understand that it's expensive. I understand deeply how expensive it is because I have spent a pretty fucking penny on Pilates. But I will say it is an investment in yourself and in your body. So if it's something that you really want to do or you really have interest in, try it. Maybe cut something else out. Maybe don't go get your hair highlighted every month. Maybe grow out your nails and do them at home. Maybe don't go on a shopping spree every week. Just try to see where you can cut some corners in your life if Pilates is something that you really want to give a chance. I will also say that Pilates can be accessible to everybody. I post free Pilates videos on my YouTube channel. I offer you a great deal of knowledge and movement and strength in your body for free on YouTube. So there's always a way to get around it. I understand that it is expensive, but if you do really want to do it, hop on YouTube, go watch my Pilates videos, go watch whoever's Pilates videos you want. Just make sure they're credible and that they know what they're talking about. In my opinion, Pilates is not somebody moving on the screen with a timer countdown. I really do feel that the instructor needs to be cueing you and explaining exactly what's happening and exactly what you should be doing with your body if you want real results and real strength. I want to touch on the aesthetics when it comes to Pilates. A lot of people I've been seeing on the internet have been talking about a Pilates body and how it's a very specific physique. And I totally disagree with that concept. Every body can do Pilates no matter what you look like. I see it firsthand every day as an instructor and as an apprentice. I've seen all different kinds of body types do Pilates at all different levels. So you don't need to be skinny to do Pilates. And you may never get skinny doing Pilates, but I can promise you, you're going to feel a whole lot fucking stronger. You're going to feel a whole lot fucking better in your day-to-day life. And your mind is going to thank you for the therapeutic nature that Pilates offers you. Wow, I feel like that was a little bit aggressive. That's fine though. It's like your best friend giving you some tough love. That's all I'm trying to say. I just feel very passionate about Pilates and how much it has changed my life, and I know it can change yours as well. Also, if you're at a Pilates studio that you're not really sure it aligns with you, or you're not really sure they know what they're talking about, or whatever, if it's just not resonating with you, go to another one. Go to a different one. Do some research, look up the different kinds of Pilates, contemporary, classical, and see what aligns with your values. I think it's super important to find a studio that aligns with your values because every studio is different and every studio has a different vibe. If you're into more fast-paced cardio workout classes, maybe you're really going to like a solid core or a club Pilates. If you like slower, more intentional movement, learning the system of Contrology from Joseph Pilates, I would encourage you to check out a classical Pilates studio near you. So it just depends on your vibe, on what you're looking for, and what you want out of it. Now, just to come back to the aesthetics of it and that whole Pilates body bullshit, you are going to look amazing. That's pretty much guaranteed. Now, I will absolutely never be the person to say that you're going to lose inches, because if you want to lose inches, that's all diet. That has nothing to do with Pilates. So you will look different in terms of your physical structure and your makeup. For example, I had a flared rib. So if you know what that means, it basically means that your ribs kind of pop out of your body rather than being inside of your body. So sometimes you can sort of see them on the outside, and your chest is very forward and your booty is very back. So you're kind of in that S shape, and you live sort of out here. And that was something that I always never really loved about my body, especially when I was lifting weights. I was trying to lose this boxiness that I had to my waist and to my upper body, like doing a bunch of ab exercises and all of that. But it wasn't until Pilates that I actually learned how to breathe while keeping my abs engaged. And then Pilates just sort of sucked me right back in, put my ribs back into place, and sunk my waist in to get that more snatched waist that I was trying to achieve doing all of these different ab exercises in the gym that weren't fucking working, because it was more about my biological structure, my skeletal structure, than anything else. I needed those muscles around my ribs to reconnect, to draw my ribs back home, because I was living in that very arched lordotic curve hyperlordosis position. And I still am. That's something that, is still a work in progress for me in Pilates. My ribs, my tailbone, there's a lot that goes on. And I'm constantly working every single day to make those corrections. But when it comes to aesthetics, yes, you're going to look good. And my ribs don't flare anymore. And my waist looks a lot tinier. However, honestly, I don't even really care about what I look like, because I feel so fucking good. I feel strong. I feel functionally strong. Every time I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, I'm engaging my core to brush my teeth. When I drive my car, I'm using the steering wheel as a magic circle. If you don't know what that is, it's just a prop we use in Pilates. I'm constantly using my core. When I go to carry my laundry from downstairs to upstairs, I have it in my arms. My core is engaged to support my low back. And all of those things become second nature to you. So when you go to lift up that heavy box from Amazon you got outside, you automatically use your core, because it's stronger, because you know how to use it, and because you do it more often, that it just becomes second nature to you. The biggest part of exercise for me is keeping my body healthy so that I feel good now at 40, at 60, at 80, and at 100. I want to feel strong and capable for the rest of my life. And I truly, truly feel that Pilates has gotten me there and is going to fucking take me there. Core strength is everything. And core strength is everything. Your core is literally the core of you. It is the center of your body. It's what holds your entire body up. Your spine and your core that wraps around your spine holds the whole body into place. So if you do not have a strong core, you don't have a strong body. And most of us don't have strong cores, and you have to work at it to really get there. Pilates works your core in a way that is so functional for everyday life. It's fucking amazing. Your core in Pilates, your center, your powerhouse, your abs, all of those things sort of mean the same in Pilates. Your center, your core, I'll call it, is everything in Pilates. We do everything from our core, from our center. The arms are secondary. The legs are secondary. The glutes are secondary. Everything's coming from your core, from the front body, from the back body, sandwiching in together to create the center of you. And once you find that, praise the Lord, you found the fucking secret sauce. So I think that's my fucking spiel on Pilates. I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want to know about my Pilates journey when it comes to my certification, I can do a whole separate podcast episode on just that. Getting certified has definitely been a very long process. And yeah, I would be happy to talk about it. I would be happy to talk details, how much I'm paying, how much I put into it, hours, time, blah, 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 the whole fucking 9 yards. I'm happy to share that with you, especially if you guys have interest in getting certified. I know for me, it was like very overwhelming when I wanted to get certified because there just wasn't a lot of honest information out there about what really goes into it. So if you guys want me to do an episode on that, drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you. As always, thank you guys so much for listening or watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.